Hey people, it's Larry again. Got a few questions here to answer. I guess even though I state in the videos, don't send me private messages, and even on my About page on my YouTube channel it says don't send me private messages unless it involves actually hiring me. People don't seem to pay attention to that. So instead of me wasting my morning typing a bunch of responses, which I really don't have time for, I'm just going to do a quick video and answer the questions this way. A lot of people are asking me about the watering of the towers. As I showed you before in the initial video, or I guess where I finally put one online, you can see that there is a T up there. And even on this other one, there's a T. But the difference between these two is this one I have the T pulled up so that the water is dripping straight down on top of the first two planters. On this one, I'm going to pull it up a little ways so you can see what's going on here. The T is actually pulled completely up against this foam plug that's on the top. And that's so that the foam plug actually works as a water spreader, so that the water comes in and just randomly spreads across the top of that plug and randomly falls in different locations throughout the column of the tower. This is just a test to see which one works better. So you can see that one. Another question that is related to this had to do with the planter spacing. In the very first video when I was building it, I said that there was a reason that I went 3 inches horizontally, the centers of the planters, and then each one of them drops 6 inches. Like this planter is 6 inches below this one. Well, the reason for the horizontal spacing in Gunnar Shaper's design, he uses them puts them in there horizontally 4 inches apart. If you look at how the water comes out of this T, since I'm using gravity fed, that water only spreads out 3 inches. So, putting my planters horizontally 3 inches on center makes sure that the water drops straight down on top of each planter. Now, the vertical spacing, why I chose 6 inches instead of 5 like what Gunnar uses. I took 2 of these Rockwell plugs and I was holding them up under my water stream here, and I was flooding the top one just to see how well the water would trickle off and saturate the plug below it. I found that if you take your next plug down and drop it 1 more inch, when the water hits it, it creates more of a splash. So if you're going to use the media inside of these for biological filtration, that extra splash gets more water over into the media. And ultimately that's where your roots are going to end up, is within that media. So you might as well provide as much water over there as possible. Doing it this way, 6 inches below the other, it gets water to the plug itself and also helps splash water into the media that you put in there. So maybe, this other method that I used over here where I pulled the T all the way against the top so it'll work as a water spreader, that may not be entirely necessary. Who knows? We'll find out in time. Another question was in regards to the planter size. If you remember this one over here, the first one, the planters are 1.5 inches in diameter, and these are 1.75 inches. I'm going to try one more design, making that planter a full 2 inches all the way across, because as you can see, the plug is in there, but I had to still compress it just a small bit. If I can get away from compressing these plugs at all, the better off I'll be. Another advantage to that, if I make it 2 inches, is that other planters or other plugs, such as, I know some people frown on them, those Jiffy peat pellets. I've never had a problem with them, but I hear other people say that there's problems with them, you know, getting mold or something like that on top. I've never had it happen. As a matter of fact, you can look over here at these plants that I started, these lettuce plants. These are in Jiffy peat plugs. As a matter of fact, all of these lettuce plants that are down here were started in Jiffy peat plugs. So if there is a problem with using Jiffy peat plugs, I haven't encountered it yet. Maybe I'm just lucky. So let's see. Next question was the media type. Am I designing these to work only with metallomedia? No, absolutely not. If you want to use polyflow, use that. If you want to use that Purolator, really common pond filter, that'll work just as fine or just as well too. The whole object here is to simply provide any kind of biological surface area. If you want mechanical filtration, use the Purolator or the polyflow. And like I said, ultimately your roots are going to end up in that media. So just use something that your roots can crawl through freely. So no, I'm not designing these specifically for metallomedia. They're just being designed to work with any kind of filter media. So that'll probably help reduce the cost for some people. The last question was in regards to manufacturing. In my final Q&A on the V-Towers, I said that 3D printing would be an option, which it is. Ew, that's nasty. But it's not the only option out there. I don't see injection molded plastic as being a viable option due to the shape of these and the mold that a person would have to make in order to perform injection molding of these towers. What I was thinking otherwise beyond that is simply designing a jig that makes the towers itself. So you just buy any of this. It's called ASTM D2729 drain line. Or you can just buy this stuff at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, whatever your local building center is called. You buy this stuff and you feed it into the machine, and a heated blade would come along, punch the keyhole, or in this case it would just be a slot, punch the slot in there, that pulls out, then the jig would, by way of implementing a heat gun into it, would blow hot air on there until the PVC is soggy. Then a form comes by, the blade slides out of the way, the form slides into place, pokes the hole in there, and then cool air is blown on it to cool it down. After that one's done, the jig would rotate the pipe so far, so you could do one over here, rotate the pipe and slide it, and just do that over and over. Now I've done a lot of work with robotics. I'm a programmer, so I know how to write the code to control stepper motors and all that kind of stuff using what's called the one-wire file system in Linux. So it wouldn't be hard. The hardest part would be just debugging the robotic part, the motors moving all of the PVC into place, and sliding the heated cutting blade and the form. I don't see it as being real complicated. I've done far more complicated things in regards to robotics and programming, so it really doesn't spook me. So maybe that might be the smartest way to go, is to just create a jig that builds the towers for you if you just simply provide a heat gun and your PVC tubing. That may be the way I go. I guess one other question is how I was hanging these, and real simple. There's nothing but zip ties going through the tops of these, and they're just hanging on a a simple cup hook. So gravity is keeping the thing aligned as far as left and right, forward and backward plumb. So I think that's about it. I'm 10 minutes into this video. Good grief, I try to keep these shorter, but once again we went over the limit. The limit of most people's attention span, I should say. So that's all. Everyone have a good one. When I get the other tower made, I'll post another video, and like I said, the only difference is going to be I'm going to make those holes just another 1/4 inch wider, and that'll be it. Then we'll test all 3 of them side by side to see which one performs the best. So take it easy. See you next time around.